Okay, obviously we've had more than 20 minutes elapse, and it would appear that we've had a change of venue. What you did not see is into the boil in the last few minutes, where we had one or two bees circling, we ended up having an entire swarm. And I moved it not because of the fact that I have a problem with the bees, but because bees are basically the renewable resource that creates our honey, and we don't want to take a chance on them basically dying off because of the fact they're dive bombing into the must, and there's enough pesticides and everything else going on in this world right now that are killing off the bees population as it is, that's what drives part of our honey cost up. So at this time we've actually moved everything back inside. We're inside the garage of the house, and at this time we're going to go ahead and pour the must over into the fermenter that has ice water in it, and then we'll be stirring it and pitching our yeast. Okay. So first step is we're going to remove the lid. We have our ice water down in there. And we're going to pour this nice must. It is still very, very hot. Of course, you're going to want to pour the hot liquid into the cold. And we actually probably overdid it just slightly with the water and ice. So, we're a little bit over, but that's okay. Alright. Obviously, by the amount of ice left, we have plenty of cold. We're stirring it up. Get some oxygenation in there and also get down to temperature. We're going to take our thermometer and put it in there and see where we're setting at. Give it just a few minutes, a few seconds to see what the temperature is. Of course, the thermometer came out of a sanitizer bucket. And while we're giving that time to cool down, we're going to go ahead and remove our hydrometer, and I will show you that. Okay. And what we have, this is called a graduated a hydrometer. You can use it in a graduated cylinder, or as I'm getting ready to do, I'm going to put it in the bucket with the must. And you have to have it in a specific temperature range that is ideal for your hydrometer. So make sure when you check the packaging and insert with your hydrometer, make sure you have it right. And there are increments, and some of these will tell you the potential alcohol without having to do a mathematical equation. But basically what this tells you is the amount of fermentable sugars that are in your must, or if it was a beer, in your wort. Now, on this particular hydrometer, the color codes indicate appropriate levels. The big blue band at the bottom is for dessert wines. The lighter kind of neon green is for a table wine. And then your orange section is your starting area for beer or ales, and then the upper two bands are your finishing out area. So now we're going to check this temperature, and yes, we are well below 80. We're around the 70-degree range, and we're going to drop our hydrometer in. Now remember, one thing that's good to remember about using a hydrometer in this case is that there are still air bubbles inside of the water. So what we want to do is, when we use our hydrometer, we want to drop it in and give it a little spin to make sure there's no air bubbles sticking to the side of it to keep it more buoyant than what it should be. And what you want to look for is the line called a meniscus. It's in any glass of water. The water on the sides will cling to the glass and give a slight elevation. If you look in the middle of the water, it should be the lowest point, kind of a trough, in between the two sides of the glass. So you're going to look at the lowest point on that line. Okay? And we are at 1.09. 1.09. Which is pretty good. So, now I'm going to get a little starter started. Okay, that's good. I don't want it sloshing over the sides. And on this one, we're going to go ahead and use the sweet mead. You see it's plumped up. We're going to tear off the top. Okay. And if you look inside, you'll see the plastic container that had the ingredient that was a yeast nutrient, along with the yeast inside. And you're going to want to pinch that to keep it from falling into your must. And we're going to simply just pour it right in. And we're going to give it a little stir. Okay, that's stirred. Now, what we have here is a lid with an airlock. Now, if you look at the airlock, there's a small valve inside, or a small piece of plastic, that keeps air from going in, and there's a level of water that the carbon dioxide will bubble up through the stem, come down from underneath that layer, bubble through the water, and out this vented top. However, because the water is there, the osmotic pressure inside of the container will keep any air from going through the water and back into the container. So, we're going to want to make sure that it seals well. And if I had the camera down here lower, you would be able to see that as I was pushing that lid on, bubbles were pushed out. And that is good. Okay, so at this time, the fermenter is sealed, and basically all it needs to be done is placed in a nice dark location that's going to maintain a nice room temperature somewhere around the 70s. It's not going to get too hot, kill off the yeast, too cold and make them fall out of suspension or become dormant. And just kind of left where it's not going to be moved around much. Now, being here in Texas, obviously with it coming on spring, this garage could get a little warm, so we're going to actually be putting it inside the house. Yeast are photosensitive. Light will kill them off. Light and air will cause oxidation issues with your mead. So generally about a month from today, we will be racking it out of its current container called a primary fermenter into a secondary, and that will probably be our next video, unless we do another brew some other time. Thank you for watching.